Today's guest is G Hurst. As a Nashville artist, G Hurst has been making waves in his local scene with the likes of his latest release, Thinking About You. Welcome, G Hurst.
What's up, guys? Nice to be here.
Hey, nice to have you. So yeah, let's start back to the beginning of your story. Where were you first born and raised, and how did music come into your life?
Well, I have been born out here in Nashville, Tennessee. I grew up listening to my dad sing a lot, like in the car rides and stuff like that. And I always saw the passion that my father had of singing. And when you're little, you always want to, oh, well, I want to, make my dad proud and that. And he liked to sing, so I always caught myself younger listening to my dad sing. I'm trying to learn how to sing the songs that my dad was singing and and I just felt in love with music in general at such a young age. And as I grew older, I realized, if I was feeling some type of emotion or some type of way, that I would turn on a certain song or a certain album or a certain artist to help me get through whatever emotion I was feeling, whether it be sadness, frustration, anger, whatever emotion I was feeling. I'd always turn to music to help me that. And then I remember at one point in my life, I was like, man, I would love to make music that people listen to when they're feeling some kind of emotions. Like I want people, if somebody's having a bad day, I want to make music where they're like, well, I turn G Hurst on to help me through my day, or I turn on Thinking About You, or I turn on my song Don't Understand, or I turn on my song Distraction to help me get through whatever emotion. So I started writing music as a way to not only help myself cope through emotion, but to try to help maybe somebody else listen to emotion. And then through the songwriting first, just through songwriting, just not really showing nothing. I was just kind of using it as a coping tool, I guess, for depression or whatever emotion I was feeling at that time. And then I remember one day, I think I was like 18 years old, maybe. I was on my grandmother's porch and I got up enough nerve to sing one of my songs I wrote a cappella and posted on Facebook. And I just got so much love off of Facebook for it. And, people were sharing it, liking it, commenting, nothing crazy, but that's more than I'd normally gotten on a post that I've ever done before. And it ended up linking me with Right Now, which is one of my closest friends, one of my greatest co-writers, one of my greatest, members of just my life that I've met, named Chase Matthew. And we have linked up, and he was a singer-songwriter as well. And we just clashed really well and linked up very well. And we started writing music together, and we started, trying, in our own little studios in the closet with a microphone and all kinds of stuff, just starting out, try to, build something together that we have called and loved now and has made quite a name for itself in our local area called Hollywood. And it's the basics of where the name and everything comes from. Is we were told at a very young age when we were starting out this, that we would never, we'd never make it, or no one ever listened to you, or no one would come to your shows. And, we were always told that, we were never going to make it in Hollywood. We were never going to make it mainstream. We were never going to make a name for ourselves coming up. And we said, well, if you won't let us in Hollywood, we'll make it Hollywood, and we'll make our own Hollywood. And we liked the name, joking around with it one day. And we decided that that's what we were going to call our brand. That's what we were going to call our label, was Hollywood. And now we have people chanting at our shows. We have people wearing our merch around town with Hollywood on it. And it's just, we wanted to show the world through Hollywood that no matter what somebody says, no matter what somebody thinks of you, no matter what somebody's opinion of you is, never let somebody tell you that you can't make it. Never tell somebody that you can't do this. Never let somebody tell you that you're not good enough to do this. Because those same people that told us that we were never going to amount to nothing, same people that said that no one was going to listen to our songs, same people that said they would never come to our shows, those people are wearing our merch around town right now. Those people are buying tickets to come watch us perform. And just a month ago, of a local bar that we used to go to as teenagers, we just sold it out 600 plus. And all those people that used to not think that we were going to be nothing, those people were there at the show singing our song lyrics back to us on stage. So it's it's just a beautiful thing, man, being able to fill your heart and soul into a song and put your emotion and everything you have into a song, and hearing it get sung back to you on stage is the greatest feeling in the world. So yeah, that's a little bit about where I started and how I came along in the journey that I have.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. And I love what you're saying about Hollywood. I think that's super commendable that you're trying to push that point across to people, because that's the truth. I mean, you just got to believe. Let's take it back a little bit though. What kind of music was around you when you were growing up? Like, what were your influences? What was your dad singing?
Oh, well, my dad was a big kind of country star, you know, big into Tim McGraw, big into Randy Travis, Alan Jackson, George Strait, Jimmy Johnson. I can tell you how many times I listened to In Color when I was younger. So those were kind of just old time country where they had a lot of, you know, soul and rasp and emotion into what they're singing. So those were the kind of influences that I grew up listening to. But then as I got older, you know, nowadays, you know, hip hop or rap or pop music is more shown through the media nowadays than that kind of music is, which I wish it wasn't, but that's just how the industry is nowadays. So I took it upon myself, and my songwriting is to make songs that you would hear on the radio, but make sure I have just enough heart and soul and emotion into it that it has a meaning behind it. Like, for example, my previous song, Thinking About You, that is just released on streaming platforms, was that, you know, it's an upbeat, it's a catchy song, but it's still got a lot of meaning and emotion into it. So that I always took my old influences between listening to Randy Travis, you know, Three Wooden Crosses, Deeper in the Holler, on the other hand, or Tim McGraw's, you know, Red Ragtop, When the Green Grass Grows. Those, I always took those songwriting influences and try to use it with modern hip hop or modern day pop music that you would hear on the radio. And it kind of, those songs really inspired me to make the music that I make today. And then I listen to some music even now today, like Tyler Childers, for example, who kind of has that old-timey twang that I used to listen to growing up, but he has made it to where, you know, younger generations are listening to it now. So those are kind of the influences that help me make the music that I'm making today.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's so cool how you try and influence. I mean, those two influences like hip hop and country, they don't usually
blend together,
embrace together so far.
Yeah.
But it's so cool you're trying to bring that to the front. I think that's the way it'll probably go in the future, maybe.
Yeah, because that's why I think it's so amazing with Hollywood, with me and my friend Chase, because like I said, Chase Matthews is more of a country kind of rock type of person, where I fit in the other aspects. We're both sharing the same message. We're both pushing the same envelope, just with different styles that blends well together. So I think it's a pretty amazing thing myself.
Yeah, that's so cool. When you first started writing music, did you just write a cappella? Did you just write lyrics? Did you write with instruments? How did that begin?
So believe it or not, I used to beat on my chest and make a little melody or a little riff on my chest through a beat. And I would take my cell phone, open my notes on my cell phone, and I would type out my lyrics as I wrote them. And then when I finally wrote me a song, I would take it, and this was in the very beginning. I would take it and I would look on YouTube about like little instrumental beats or little like beats that people would I guess freestyle to or whatever. And I would take it and I would find a beat until it linked up with the song that I'd written. Like I have a debut album that's also out on streaming platforms from when I very first started music, and that's mostly how the whole album was made, just like that. Which I've grown now from those days, but that's how I started it out. That's exactly how I started out. I would write a song, making a beat on my chest, and I would just write it down, and then I would find something to go with it, and I take it from there, and I try to make what it is today. Now, how I write music today, now, you know, that I'm more experienced with the industry and how things work. Now, I get beats ahead of time and write them, find producers that have made something and I write a song to that. But that's how I originally started. I would just make a nice little beat on my chest and then I would write the song down as it went.
That's so cool, man. That's super unique. What was your experience like growing up in Nashville? Like, what was your impression of Nashville as you were living there your whole life? I know a lot of artists move out there, but what's it been as a local or as a native?
Well, I think it's crazy because, when you grow up in Nashville, Nashville has changed so much from when I was younger. You see so much growth, and not only just the music scene, but just in the scene as it is. Like, I look at my hometown, which I grew up in White House, Tennessee, and I got to see, which was pretty much on about 25 minutes away from downtown Nashville. And I just, I think back when I was 6 or 7 years old, and then I look at it now, and it's just like, wow, just the growth just in our community and just in local areas have grown so much. And especially with nowadays, when it came to the music industry, back when I was growing up, you just see people on street corners with guitars or with drums or, people just out there trying to push their sound and craft as much as they could. And nowadays, like with streaming platforms, it's a whole lot easier with social media to try to produce and try to, push your music out there. So it was crazy growing up and watching what it was like and then watching what it's turned into, because just seeing just so much of how Nashville's grown as a whole is kind of just an inspiration in itself, that it's like, if this used to look like this and now it looks like that, then I can take this and just grow it over time to make it like this. So I think growing up in Nashville, not just moving out to Nashville, because like you said, a lot of people move out to Nashville to try to, get in the music industry, to kind of get in the music scene and everything like that. Getting to watch it grow from a small child to, where I'm at now is kind of just more of an inspiration than if you just came and moved out here 2 years ago. Because you know what it looks like now, but you wouldn't know what it looked like when you were 6 or 7.
Yeah, for sure. So as you've lived there, I mean, hip hop has taken more influence in the world in general, everywhere. How has hip hop kind of grown in Nashville since you've been growing, or as you've been growing up? And where's the hip hop scene now, or what does that look like in Nashville at the moment?
Well, like you said, it has grown over the time. Because I remember when I was younger, you really only heard really one artist in Nashville when you're growing up, which was Boosie. Boosie was pretty much the only Nashville really artist besides, like your Starlitos and, Don Trips and stuff like that. But like Boosie was the first one to kind of like break the scene from getting outside of Nashville. But nowadays, when you watch growth, you watch so many different aspects of just hip hop, because usually you would just take hip hop and then that would be it. It's just hip hop is just hip hop. Now you have, hip hop, you have rap, what I'm saying? You have trap rap, you have country rap, you have hip hop, you have, all these type of different sections of the genre hip hop. Because nowadays, which was one of my biggest inspirations as an independent artist is Jelly Roll, who is an artist out of Nashville who's just took the music scene and music industry by storm just these past 2 years. So it's crazy to see what hip hop was in Nashville. But like I said, with the prior questions, growing up here and then just moving here was totally different things. When you're growing up, there wasn't really no big hip hop artists coming out of Nashville. There really was no big, name coming out of Nashville when it came to the hip hop scene. So it's like now, you have, Struggle Jennings, you have Ryan Upchurch, you have, Jelly Roll, you have all these independent artists that have popped up out of Nashville doing hip hop. So it's crazy knowing that the hip hop scene is being more accepted now in Nashville, because there's so many artists that make beautiful music in the hip hop category or the R&B category. And now they're starting to get respect because they're from Nashville, because the other success that other artists that have paved the way for Nashvillians.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I'm sure it's just going to keep growing, over time. I think those influences are going to keep mixing, just as, Spotify changed the game with, I think, people having to choose a single genre to listen to. That's not a thing anymore. So I think it's just going to keep growing and influencing each other. So that's awesome. So for Hollywood, what's your vision for it? I mean, is it like a team that you expect to just grow, or what is it to you, like in the terms of growth and community?
Well, which the growth of Hollywood since when me and Chase started originally, what is overwhelming sometimes, because when we very first started, it was me and Chase and like maybe a small handful of our buddies that was backing us and was like, oh man, this song sounds great. Or, oh man, like I said, we probably have our first show, which was at the warehouse in Clarksville. We probably had like 25, maybe 30 people there, and all 30 of them came with us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like seeing our small fan base, our small circle of friends, and to seeing what it's grown into now just keeps fueling the dream. Because I have, I see younger artists, I see, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids, trying to record on their songs on their phone and trying to, record songs on the garage band or whatever on their iPhone. And, they send me, I have fans sometimes that send me like songs that they wrote. And it's the fact to be like, I want the fact that I know that I inspire y'all to want to chase your dreams because I'm chasing mine is what Hollywood's all about. And we want to rock this brand to where we make it grow to such a thing that we have multiple people chasing their dreams. Like, because our success is only equal to our fans' success. Like if we're making music and our fans, are loving it and trying to better their lives, or they're going out, and it doesn't even have to be musically wise. Like if we are like, wow, they're chasing their dreams. Well, my dreams to be an auto mechanic, and if they're chasing their dreams, then I want to be the best auto mechanic that I could be. So that's kind of what our growth of where we want it to be. We want it to be where you think of Hollywood, you think of chasing your dreams. We go and we take it and we make it to the brand and we get to a point where we can help other people make their dreams come true. Like if we make to the point where we can start investing money into people that we believe in to help them accomplish their dreams, to help them gain their success. So that's kind of where which I understand that, Chase has different ways to word it, but I know that when me and Chase have done this so long, and I know that that's what we want. We want our success to bring in other people to chase their success.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that. I love that idea. And I think it's hugely important. So you talk about chasing your dreams. What are your dreams? What do you hope to accomplish with music in the long term?
Well, my dream, which I know might sound corny, but my dream is to make Hollywood a household name. My dream is to make when people hear Hollywood, it's just, oh man, I love Hollywood. Oh yeah, man, Hollywood's awesome. Or, oh yeah, man, Hollywood this or Hollywood that. Because we have a saying, locally, whenever we go, if you would come to one of our local shows, we have a saying that it's Hollywood until the death. So that slogan in itself means, always stay true to yourself until you die. Never switch up or try to be what somebody else might want you to be, or be what these group of people might want you to be. It's Hollywood until the death, which means you're being you. Because at the end of the day, you are what matters to yourself. So if you're happy with who you're being, then that's all that should matter. So my dream is to make everybody feel that way. Make everybody feel through my music, through Chase's music, through Hollywood as a total, make them to where they listen to us and they are happy with who they are as a person. And if they're not happy with who they are as a person, drive them to become happy with who they are. So that's what my ultimate goal or my ultimate dream would be, to spread that among the world. Because like I said, we had many people telling us in the beginning that we couldn't do this, or we couldn't do that. And we've done all that. So it's like, we want to keep pushing the envelope to help other people inspire to push the envelope.
That's amazing. Yeah, and it seems like a cause that a lot of people can get behind. Like I think people can understand that, it's super accessible. And I think a lot of people do struggle with kind of those struggles you guys had that made you start it, where, you had a lot of people telling you no, and then you decided to make your own thing. And I think that's something a lot of people can get behind. So absolutely. I'm a believer in it. I think that's amazing. I think it's going to take off. What advice would you give to new artists who are just getting started out with their musical careers?
don't let the hate that you will experience in the beginning stop you from pushing. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had that talk with myself with, especially when I very first started with the fact that like, because it's hard when you put all your heart and soul into a song just for somebody to tell you that it's trash. So I had a lot of people that were like, oh, you can't sing, or oh, your songs suck, or da da da. Don't let, if you're an up and coming independent artist and you're trying to push your music, your songs, your sound, whatever it may be, never listen to the hate that you will get in the beginning, because that hate will turn into praise when you make it to where you want to be.
Yeah, that's
so
amazing.
That would be what I would tell people.
Amazing. Love it. What are you excited for that's coming up?
Well, man, me and Chase are about to take Hollywood back on the road, and we're about to start doing more shows now that, more venues are opening up local to live music. Like I said, we just did our first show of the tour last month. We have another show coming up here in the next month or so, and it's just to keep trying to make new content. I'm working on a project right now. Chase is working on a project right now. Me and Chase are also working on a project together. So our what we're looking forward to is, we saw the kind of influence that we made on our first tour last year. So I'm kind of excited to see, as we made new songs since then, to see the kind of impact that, we'll make this year with our music the new music that's coming out, and the new shows that we're doing this year. So I'm excited to see where 2021 takes us.